Hey guys, Logan here, and you might be wondering, Logan, you're in a completely different background yet again. What is it this time? Well, the room that I'm in right now used to be my sister's bedroom, but because she moved out to move in her new apartment, this will be my new studio room. I'm not going to be recording in my bedroom like I usually do for all my past videos. From now on, this room that I'm in right now will be my new studio room. I'm going to be recording my this one and my future videos here. So just to let y'all know. Anyway, off topic, I apologize. I have a very different review to share with you all. It's not going to be a movie review, a TV review, or an anime review. This is going to be a different review, much similar to what I did with my review for Carrie Underwood's Cry Pretty album. That was a very different review. I had a blast doing that review. It was my first ever music album review. So yeah, I was very excited to do that review. And with this review, it's going to be my first ever video game review. Now, I might have done a game review before. It was my review or my thoughts and opinions on the Pokemon Go app that is a mobile app on your phone and stuff like that. But that's not a video game review. It's a gaming app. This is going to be a video game review. And the first video game that I will review for the first time here on my channel is Spider-Man on PS4. I want to mention that I am not a video game reviewer. I am a movie reviewer. So I am not really an expert at doing video game reviews. There are multiple people out there on YouTube that know so much about how to do, reviews for video games than I am, and who are more experienced at doing video game reviews than I am, and know how the whole, video game review community works, or how the reviewing of video games thing works. So what you're looking at a movie reviewer, not a video game reviewer. With that being said, I really, really love Spider-Man PS4. This is honestly the best Spider-Man game I have ever played, and I'm not exaggerating. I really, really love this game so much. I have played it ever since October 12th, which is the day that I bought a Spider-Man PS4. I have played that game for 3 days. 3 days is what took me to finish the entire freaking game. And that just includes the side missions, as well as a few other things. So in this game, you play the older and experienced Peter Parker. We already seen an origin story of how Peter Parker lost his uncle, Ben Parker. And there were bits and pieces there and there that give that are like hints of how the backstory of Peter Parker losing his uncle looks like, particularly with the whole thing you can do on finding some backpacks that show some objects or pictures showing Peter Parker and him talking about the backstory he shared with Ben Parker before he died. Just all around the city of New York, you get to find multiple backpacks that indicate a few things that spike Peter Parker's memory with Ben Parker, or his uncle. And this game's portrayal of Peter Parker and Spider-Man might be my favorite portrayal of the character of all time. I'm not even kidding. Even it wins me over Tom Holland. Now, if you ask me who's my favorite live-action Spider-Man is today, I would say Tom Holland. But if you ask me who's my favorite Spider-Man portrayal, I would say the PS4 Spider-Man one, or the game's portrayal of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. The whole thing with J. Jonah Jameson. He had a podcast in this game where he points his finger at Spider-Man with all of his hilarious conspiracy theory, rhetoric that he spews on his podcast, just accusing Spider-Man of doing a lot of things, which is hilarious. And the game allows you to choose between deleting the podcast or just leave it on just to hear him babble on about Spider-Man. And I chose to leave it on because I thought him going off about Spider-Man was hilarious. And the action set pieces are really, really fantastic. The boss fights that you get to be in and fight some bosses like Kingpin at the very beginning, as well as Scorpion, Vulture, Rhino, Scorpion, and the new villain that I will get into later on in this review, as well as a few small battles with mobsters or robbers or any other bad guy in general that is non-villain. The gameplay, especially the action set pieces, I forgot to mention this, they felt so much like the action set pieces to Batman Arkham Knight. This game, involving the action sequences as well as the whole button mashing thing, really reminded me of the ones in Batman Arkham Knight. Some aspects do feel similar to some other aspects in games like Batman Arkham Knight, but it didn't borrow heavily, I would say. It didn't felt like the same thing that I played from another game. And that's why I thought it was clever. And the characters in this game, I actually cared for. Almost every single one of them I actually thought were interesting. Almost every single character, if not every single character in this game, has a purpose for being in this game. The developers for this game really know what they were doing when they're developing this game. That they put their whole, passion and fandom behind this game and just put all of their hardest efforts into making a very great video game and try to make this game have a compelling story and interesting characters. And the one Spider-Man / Peter Parker that I would argue is probably the best Peter Parker / Spider-Man I've ever seen. When a game does that, it's awesome. As well as a few other things like, the web slinging around a city. I do that more often than I thought I would. Even though this is a Spider-Man game, I didn't expect to actually do a lot of want to do a lot of web slinging, then do all the main missions and side missions and all other things that are not mission. And the whole storyline with Peter Parker and Dr. Otto Octavius, I find it very captivating. Just the whole side storyline with them is actually very interesting. Peter Parker is like helping him, trying to design a medicine or a cure to a disease that is like causing Dr. Octavius to lose control of his body within his spine, and he's trying to invent new technologies and try to design arms to help him with his with the out of control of his body. And I won't spoil it just in case you hadn't had the game yet, or at the very least play the game if you had it. But the way that this game ended, particularly with Peter Parker and Dr. Octavius, it was kind of heartbreaking. Now, I don't condone Dr. Octavius for what he has done in the second half of the main story for this video game, but just the way that the ending of this game turned out, it was unexpected. I didn't expect it to be like that, but it almost made me teared up. I'm not gonna lie. It almost made me teared up. Or at the very least, it made me feel emotional. Oh, and another storyline. This might involve some minor spoilers, not major ones, but just in case you hadn't played the game or bought the game, this one is going to contain minor spoilers. So if you cared about this game and you want to buy it and you cared about spoilers, this is your warning, kind of. The minor spoilers here is that there's a storyline with this character named Miles Morales. Now, before this game ever came out, and before the trailers for the upcoming Spider-Man animated Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I know nothing about the character of Miles Morales. I don't even know who he is as the character in like the whole Spider-Man mythos type thing. I didn't even know who he is. But then after playing this game and watching the whole storyline with Miles Morales unfold, this game helped me understand who Miles Morales is. And it helped me care for him, because I didn't, at the very least, kind of care for him, but this game made me care for him, which is a plus, I would say. And the whole relationship that this game has between Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson was very, very, I guess you could say, heartwarming. And just the way that it pans out, just the way that their relationship has been evolved, from them not being, boyfriend and girlfriend type of, people anymore, but still become partners at the very end. Just the way that their relationship has evolved from the start to the finish of this game, it was very heartwarming. Oh, and there's a new villain that I want to talk about. Now, like I said about the whole Miles Morales thing, this is also going to contain some minor spoilers, not some really big spoilers, but some minor ones. Mr. Negative is one of the main villains in this game. And he was pretty compelling. He's a very good villain. I thought he was very interesting to a certain extent. I like the way he uses his powers to manipulate the minds, especially ones like Peter Parker's or Spider-Man's mind, just to manipulate his consciousness, and just uses his shadows and his powers to defeat him mentally, not just physically. And that I thought was very interesting. And there are many other things that this game has that I could talk about in this review, but I'm just going to wrap it all up by saying this is the best Spider-Man game I've ever played in my life. And it did everything right, particularly with the Spider-Man character. It is my favorite portrayal of the character of Spider-Man / Peter Parker I have ever seen. It's the best portrayal I've ever seen of Spider-Man Peter Parker. And the characters were very interesting. The story was very compelling, and the characters were actually really cool and very compelling, particularly Mr. Negative. And so many other things have been done so well. And I'm going to give Spider-Man PS4 a Platinum Medal of Honor. So anyway guys, that is my first ever video game review for Spider-Man PS4. If you guys enjoyed my first ever video game review, please click the like button, and if you have already bought this game and played it, comment below and let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please press up there to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight.